Welcome to Believers Talk with Joe and Steve. We are your hosts. I'm Joe.
I'm Steve.
And in this episode, we want to talk to you a little about the draft, but we want to do it a little differently. You've all heard about the prospects. You know about this draft coming up, but we kind of want to take a look back at Bill's past drafts, right? So before we do that, however, we want to remind everyone to, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for continuing Bill's content from the draft, preseason, regular season, and beyond. We'll continue to do this, keep you up to date as much as we possibly can. So we want to get into it a little bit. Probably start with the negative, yeah?
Yeah, that way we end on a good
yeah, hopefully.
good note.
Yeah. So let's start with the bust. I don't know if you want to start us off.
Yeah, I think everybody can agree on this
Yes,
one.
yeah.
It would be Aaron Maben for me, the
Yeah.
11th overall pick in '09.
Yeah,
I hated the pick at the time. I thought we should have went Arakpo.
right.
He would have been more suited for the 4-3 defensive end.
Absolutely.
So that
That would probably be everyone's number one,
Yeah.
right? Aaron Maben was a complete bust. Have some of his stats here. He spent 2 seasons in Buffalo, and I think after he left Buffalo, went to the Jets for a little bit.
yeah.
But then he got released by the Jets. Like, it just nothing worked out. He only started 1 game for us. 26 tackles, no sacks, 1 forced fumble.
Yeah.
That's not what you want from your 11th overall pick.
No, and I think he in his career he only had 1 sack.
Right.
I think.
Right. So it's pretty bad. It's
Yeah.
pretty bad. So that was kind of like when we were looking at each other's list, it was like, yeah, Aaron Maben was number one. It was pretty obvious. So, but going down the list, we both have quarterback as our second biggest bust. Different quarterback, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'd put J.P. Lossman here
Mhm.
because he was a first-round pick, number 22 overall in '04.
Right.
And we actually traded up.
Right.
We traded our '05 first-round pick to
Mhm.
get him, which if we would have stayed put in '05, could we have Aaron Rodgers at that time?
Yeah.
So that, a little hindsight on that, but
Right.
still, you look at that draft class and you had Eli, Phillip, and Ben.
Yeah.
We didn't get to trade up to get one of those guys, but we do trade up and get J.P. Lawson,
Right.
who was just awful for us.
Yeah. Now JP's on the list as well. He's just not this high, and I do agree with you. Something that makes him higher is the fact that we traded up for him. We gave up so much for him. Where the QB that I have on the list, EJ Manuel, we actually traded back for,
Yeah.
so we got more value, even though we didn't do much for that value either.
No.
But we got more. But yeah, I had EJ Manuel on this. Go over JP's numbers real quick. Let's see, 33 starts, 10-23 record. Yay, right? Like that's
At least he
great.
won 10 games.
Right. We're surprised he won 10, right? And then 6,200 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 34 interceptions. Never good when your quarterback has more interceptions than touchdowns. So yeah, he was kind of a bust for us. And then going to EJ Manuel, I just was never really a fan of EJ. There was a brief moment when he beat Carolina his rookie year, like I think week 2 and the last second play to Stevie Johnson.
Yep, the Stevie.
So that was like that brief moment where, oh, maybe he's got something. But yeah, 4 seasons, 17 starts, 6-11 record, 3,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Probably the best thing Rex Ryan did, the only good thing Rex Ryan did, was to start Tyrod over EJ Manuel, and kind of started to end this drought, right?
Yeah.
And after a while, so. But yeah, so those were both of our number 2s, and then our number 3 is actually the same guy. So I don't know if you want to talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, just to touch on
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
EJ
Yeah.
real quick.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, now I didn't think he was a first-round pick, but I
Right.
did believe in that draft he was the best
Oh, yeah.
quarterback.
Right.
If we would have got him in the second round, it would
Yeah.
have made it a little less. But at one point, when I think it was the Colts game in preseason, where at the end of the half he drove him down with a 2-minute warning,
Okay.
and I realized like, wow, this kid he
Might
might
be
be
so.
legit.
Yeah.
And then it got to his rookie year where he was playing because Cobb injured his knee, did
Yeah.
the slip, and I thought EJ was playing pretty good
Mhm.
up until the Cleveland game,
Cleveland game late.
where he got his knee, and then from
Mhm.
there it went downhill with him. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my take on EJ Manuel.
Yeah.
I had kind of high hopes for him for
Right.
a little bit, and then they went down. And like I said, I was happy with Tyrod
Yep.
playing, and that
Mhm.
it's been well documented that I was ready to move on from Tyrod. So.
Yeah, and that's another thing about these players too. Maybe not the guys that we have on our list here, but some of these busts you can also blame on scheme and like coaching and things like that too. It's not necessarily on the players all the time, but I think
Yeah.
with these guys it kind of is a mixture of both.
Yeah, and you have to develop the guys
Right.
the right way. And
Right.
if you don't they turn out to be in this bust.
And that could be what we were doing with EJ, you know, because we had Cobb there who was going to start for us, but then he got injured in preseason.
Yeah.
I think he tripped on a mat or something.
Yeah, walking out to the
right.
training camp.
Right. So we were going to try to do that. Unfortunately, he kind of got pushed into the start, and we saw what happened. But yeah. So moving on to number 3, we have the same guy here. So I'm going in a little bit.
We both have offensive tackle Mike Williams.
Yes.
He was a first-round pick, number 4 overall. So
yeah, number 4.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hoping in that draft class to get Joey Harrington, but he didn't fall to us anyway, and he didn't turn out to be that great.
Right.
But he had a better career than Mike Williams. So.
Well, it's not hard to have a better career than Mike Williams, but yeah, another sad thing when you're looking back at these things is remembering who got drafted after them and being like, yeah, we could have had him. Yeah, we could have had him. Like, and just knowing that we didn't. But yeah, Mike Williams from Texas. Lost his starting job to an undrafted free agent who was actually pretty good for us and was pretty good for the Eagles, Jason Peters. Who,
and we traded him because they couldn't agree to terms on paying him.
Right. But yeah, so Mike Williams didn't even finish the season for us before he lost his job, and he was released then in 2006, right after his rookie contract. Obviously didn't pick up the 5th-year option because holy cow, that'd have been bad. But yeah, there were 2 other guys that you want to touch on, and then we tried to keep this to like our lifetime. So you're talking about 35 years or so. There is one guy, I guess he was a first overall pick, linebacker Tom Housen, or I don't know how to say it. He was the number 1 overall pick, first overall, and he went to the CFL for Buffalo. So I just kind of like made note about that. I was like, okay. But he let us get in Jim Kelly. So yeah, what can you do? So it's okay. But yeah, who were you thinking about as well?
Number 4, Terrell Troop. He was a 2nd round pick, number 41 overall. Most people know him because Gronk was picked after him. Right. So everybody was like, oh, we should have got Gronk. Terrell Troop was often injured, had a lot of back problems. I don't even think he started any games for us. Okay. So he was one of those guys. I remember seeing him play, and everybody talked about how much potential he had, but he was just always injured and never really did anything for us. So that'd be my number 4 guy.
Yeah, and that's actually a great question. Do you think New England would be as dominant if they did not have Gronk? Right? Like, I mean, Brady without Gronk, what would happen there? Because there were times in the seasons before where when Gronk was hurt, they actually looked worse than when Brady was out. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that would definitely change some things around.
Yeah, they're the 2 staple points of that team. Really, every year they change around a lot of players and positions, but those are the 2 that stay the same.
Exactly. So I don't know. And then you had 5 who as soon as you said his name, I was like, yes, he belongs on this list. But
Ashton Yabodi, he was a 3rd round pick, and just he got burnt all the time. He was very bad. I was not a fan of him from the get-go.
He should have never been on the field ever. But
it just whenever he was out there, he was giving up a touchdown. So.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So those are pretty much our top 5 worst Buffalo Bills draft picks in 35 years, right? Yeah. So if you agree with those, leave a comment saying you agree. If you have other names out there that you're like, this guy should get honorable mention, like let us know. We'll happily discuss it and talk about those things.
Yeah, and I try to stay away from some of the later round guys because you're not thinking about those much. Try to stay in, the first couple rounds.
Right. That's what we try to do. When you talk about 5th, 6th, 7th rounders, you're not really thinking too much about them actually producing on the field at all.
Yeah, if they produce, then you're very happy.
Exactly. I mean, and that works into kind of our best. It's too early to tell on some of these guys, but that's when you look at a Milano and say, well, maybe one day he'll be on this list because he was a 5th round draft pick. And that's kind of what, to me, I mean, we have some bests that were in the 1st round too, but that's what makes it the best. These guys that no one projected to do much that came out and still produced. So.
And just another quick note, we didn't add in some of these guys from the draft classes the past few years because kind of the verdict's still out on these guys.
Yeah, right.
I think we both agree we had a good draft class last year, so, we can't put Trey White as one of the best.
He might turn out to be.
He might, but it's just too early for that.
Yeah. So we're thinking probably around 2014, 2015. We were like, okay, the jury's still out on these guys. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so these are some of our best. You can get started. Number 1, I think number 1 should be absolutely the same for everybody, but go ahead and you can start us off here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bruce Smith. Absolutely. He was the first overall pick, and at the time, he wasn't even considered a bona fide, like, number 1 overall pick. There was some skeptic of him at that time that he was overweight, he didn't want to play. Yeah. But all-time sack leader.
Right, absolutely.
Played just about his whole entire career, except for a couple years in Washington.
Yeah, 2 years in Washington. But that's because Dan Snyder was willing to pay him a bunch of money to do very little. So
and he was going after the record too.
Exactly. So. Yeah, I was a little salty about that when that happened, just because you knew he was just going for the record, and I wanted him to be a lifelong Bill. Yeah. But hey, he got the record. Good for him, and he got paid pretty well to chase the record. So
yeah, when he left, Andre Reed also left. That was kind of the silver lining of the Bills.
Exactly. But number 2, Jim Kelly, first round 1983, 14th overall pick. Very. I mean, everyone is talking about Jim Kelly right now because of his recovery from cancer again, and so we're very happy to hear that news as well. He's recovering, he's doing well, so keep taking care of Jim. But yeah, Jim Kelly, first round pick in 1983. You can talk more about him a little bit.
Yeah, he was my favorite player growing up. Just tough, kind of a gunslinger, would stand in the pocket, take some hits, make some plays. The no huddle.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody knows about the 4 straight Super Bowls.
Right.
We didn't win any, so
so we don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's a downfall. But no team has
ever done it
to 4 straight. Right. He led them there, and most of it was that no huddle offense, and that's how they ran the game. But
they call it Kelly Gun or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he had his own nickname for it. So Jim Kelly, obviously one of the greatest Bills of all time. We love you. Glad you're feeling better. Just keep improving. Number 3 on your list would be Thurman Thomas.
Yeah, I was up in the air with this one a little bit.
Okay.
But Thurman, before you see all these guys like LT and all that. Mm-hmm. That was Thurman back in the day.
Yeah,
kind of changed the mentality. And he was a 2nd round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually showed a shot of him falling asleep. Everybody thought he'd be a 1st round pick, and he went in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of put him at number 3 because he was an NFL MVP. He's a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. He could do it all.
He could.
He was just a special player at his time.
He led the NFL in all-purpose yards 3 or 4 years or something like that. So he just did everything, and to have a player like that back then was a big deal. I mean, bigger than it is today.
Yeah.
Today the prototypical running back kind of can do everything. That's what you want, and back then it wasn't that way. So
if they had fantasy back then,
Thurman Thomas would have
he would have been the number 1 overall pick.
Absolutely. So, and then going down to number 4 on this list, this is why for me I had the 1985 draft class as our number 1 draft class, right? Because 2 Hall of Famers came from that draft class. We had Bruce Smith, number 1 overall, and then we picked up Andre Reed. And not just the fact that we picked up Andre Reed, like look where we picked him up, right?
Yeah, he was a 4th round.
Right, 4th round pick, 86th overall, and he turned out to be one of the greatest Bills receivers of all, if not the greatest Bills receiver of all time. I would probably put him as the best. I know he wouldn't be your favorite, but probably the best wide receiver of all time.
Man, it's tough. Because I really like some other receivers, but Andre Reed, as far as what he did, and at the time they didn't throw the ball like they do now.
Right.
So, and he did have a better supporting cast around him. Mm-hmm. I'd say he's probably the best receiver.
Yeah, in Bill's history. Yeah, absolutely. And this is again in our lifetime, maybe back in the 70s and 60s. There's a guy we're forgetting about. I don't think so, but maybe.
I think he's head to above everybody as far as receiver. There's some other receivers I have on my list. My list is a little longer because some other guys, so we'll go down and mention some of them a little later. But Andre Reed, I think everybody can agree, best receivers Bill ever had.
Yeah. And so now we're getting into, and after Reed started this, not just the best picks overall, but best picks for their value.
Yeah.
Right? And so when I started my list, that's kind of what I looked at. I love this guy. I love this guy, just is well known. My number 1 as far as best pick for value would be Kyle Williams. He was a 5th round pick, 134 overall, and I mean, just to think about what this guy has done, he's been with the team now for 13 seasons. Yeah. I mean, so I don't know if you had anything you want to say about him.
Yeah, he's my number 5 guy.
Yeah.
Because of that 5th round value, and it's kind of weird to think about this. Another guy who's further down on my list who we traded was Eric Moulds.
Right.
And one of the picks we got back, everybody was laughing about was a 5th round pick, and that turned out to be Kyle Williams.
Right,
and
exactly.
He turned out to be a really good
Again, I can't say enough about Kyle Williams. He's losing some of his productivity in his later years here, but he's still just the captain and ultimate professional on the field, and his love for Buffalo overall has just always been shown to me in his quotes, and everyone knows about it in his speech when they made the playoffs and everything. He's just an amazing player and just has an amazing heart for Buffalo, and we really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going with yours there too. Like, I'm looking at your list, I'm like, yes, it's so awesome. 6 overall, Phil Hansen, 2nd round pick. You talk about him, I always love
Phil.
Phil.
From 91.
Yeah.
I love the guy. He, to me, was another guy like Kyle Williams.
Right.
At that time, you didn't see all the speeches or anything,
Exactly.
so I don't know if he was like that.
Yeah.
But his play mentality, like,
Absolutely.
he would just give it his all, and he was always opposite of Bruce,
right.
which really helped, but he didn't get the notoriety that Bruce got.
Yeah,
I just
always
love
felt,
the guy.
I always felt he was underrated for that reason, because you had Bruce Smith on the other side, and yes, it's hard to play in Bruce Smith's shadow, right? But Phil Hansen was a wrecking ball as well, and I just always enjoyed when he was getting to the quarterback, especially Tom Brady. Later in his career, he just had a thing about getting to Tom Brady. I was like, that's my dude right there. So yeah, we really appreciate him, and he stuck around in Buffalo. He retired a Bill, right? He was a Bill his whole career. So that's one thing we always love. Next guy on the list is one of my favorites as well, and probably my dad's favorite if he's watching. Darryl Talley.
Yeah.
Darryl Talley, 2nd rounder. So
2nd rounder out of West Virginia in '83. So that was the same time as Kelly.
Right, Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah. He was the leader of the defense.
Yeah.
And he stayed there for a while.
Yep. He was. I just remember him in the Houston game, in the comeback game, right? He was on the sideline rallying everybody, and I have that on DVD, and I watch it, and you can still see him. Like, he's one of the guys leading the charge as we begin the comeback, and so that's really awesome.
My most memorable thing from Talley was he would always wear the
Spider-Man, right?
Like, before anybody started wearing the sleeves or anything like that, he had Spider-Man. So that always sticks out to me. That's the first thing about Talley.
Yeah. He was just a fun guy to watch. Moving to my list, I had another guy that we actually got in the 9th round, because prior to, I believe it was 97, I don't forget exactly when, there were actually more rounds in the draft. And so in 1991, in the 9th round, we got a guy who played on the same defense, Mark Maddox, linebacker, who was not as big of a name as some of these other guys, but for a 9th rounder, he was productive, he was a starter. He was just there for those Super Bowl runs. So I just wanted to mention his name out there. We have Don Beebe, who was...
I love Don Beebe.
Right. I love Don Beebe too. I was actually happy in a sense to see him get a ring in Green Bay when he left Buffalo, went to Green. I was sad to see him leave Buffalo, but to see him go to Green Bay and get his ring, I felt like that was deserved out of every player in that team back then. Yeah. So to see him get his ring was kind of cool. Phil Hansen's on there for me. And then going to the 2003 draft, maybe one of our best draft picks as far as depth-wise in the 17-year drought. We got Terrence McGee, 4th round, right? Yeah. You got to love McGee, 4th round, 2003. So those are one of the guys on my list.
He was a very good all-around player.
Right,
he returned some kicks, and he was really good.
He
did that when he was younger, starting out.
Right.
When he got a little older, got banged up a little bit, didn't do it as much, but I really like McGee. He was undersized, but man, he would compete.
Yeah, absolutely. He was hard hitting, and I just really liked him a lot in our secondary, and then like I said, in special teams as well. I loved having him back there, and it was just
it was exciting to watch.
It was absolutely exciting to watch.
Because at that time, the Bills weren't that good.
Right.
He would be the one thing that you want to watch.
Exactly. So I don't know if you wanted to continue on your list here.
Yeah, number 8, I have Reuben Brown. He was a 14th overall pick in '95, and he was a staple there for the offensive line for a long time.
Yeah.
He did finish his career in Chicago, but he was really good for the Bills.
Yeah.
That would be my number 8. My number 9 guy, and I have him up there with Andre Reed.
Okay.
I think if he would have had some better quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Eric Moulds.
Yeah.
He was the 24th overall selection in '96, and Eric Moulds
was really good.
He was awesome.
When I remember watching him and Peerless Price when they were both there, it was just unreal. For those of you who are about as old as we are, if not older, you remember just watching them. I was so disheartened when Peerless Price went to Atlanta because I was like, oh, there goes that connection. Like, they were so good. And like you said, with better quarterback play, who knows how good they could have been.
Moles, I think, could have been a Hall of Famer if he would have ended up with a good quarterback. Now, I wasn't a huge Bledsoe fan, but when we did get him, him and Moles kind of clicked, and Moles had some good numbers. But other than that, he really didn't have anybody. He had Flutie there a little bit, Rob Johnson.
Yeah. We can talk about that later. But yeah, like Bledsoe was only there for 2 years.
Yep, and then we had EJ, or not EJ, JP.
JP, and that was later in his career as well. Yep. I mean, if Drew was there for his whole career, I feel like we'd been a much better team overall. Yep. But yeah, we only had him for 2 years, and then Eric Moles' numbers started declining when JP got in there, which everyone's numbers started declining when JP got in there.
JP was home run or nothing.
So yeah. Continue on your list.
Yeah, number 10 would be Antoine Winfield.
Okay.
He was a 23rd overall selection in '99. He was awesome for us.
Yeah.
And he ended up playing most of his career in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he was really good. Had a nice long career there. So yes, he wasn't a full bill.
Right.
But his overall career was really good.
Right.
And we did let him go after his rookie contract because we had another guy, Nate Clemens, who I think we both like too.
Yeah.
But he isn't up on the list as far as Winfield was just something else. Smaller guy, kind of like McGee, but he competed too. He could tackle. That's one thing. He wasn't missing open field tackle. He was not Deion Sanders.
Right. No offense, Dean. Well, I take offense. Number 11, I'm a huge fan of this guy as well. Aaron Strobel. Got him in the second round, 2001. And I actually have this listed. We talked about 85 probably being our best draft. I think the 2001 draft class would be probably second on that list. Because you talk about, go ahead.
You go ahead.
All right, we got Nate Clemens, Aaron Strobel, and Travis Henry, 1, 2, 3 in that round. None of them great, but all of them serviceable starters. I thought Travis Henry was underrated as a back.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was really good. So yeah, we're talking about Aaron Strobel here, and he was a really good defender for us.
He was a heck of a guy there. And I mean, there for a while it was him and Chris Kelsey in the ends, but Strobel played really good for us. I think he's second in the Bills as far as sacks. So he had a productive career for us. They didn't win much with him, but he was a pretty good guy.
Unfortunately, we can say that about a lot of guys on this list because it's during that 17-year drought. They didn't win much, but it's not due to their efforts. Their efforts actually were the bright spots of those seasons. So
we always had like one of those guys every year that we were excited and happy about, but then
we still knew we were the Bills. Right, exactly. So 12.
Yeah, most recent player, Eric Wood, who was a first-round pick, number 28 overall in '09. Very serviceable.
Absolutely.
At one time, he was one of the top centers in the league. And even till recently, he played really well. And obviously, he had the neck injury, which has ended his career, and we wish him well with that.
Absolutely.
But, he's one of those guys that we can look back and say, well, I can say in my lifetime that he was one of the better picks the Bills made.
Absolutely, yeah. And we wish Eric was the best, and not just his playing ability, but his leadership for the offensive line in general. Like, he was a great leader of that offense, and loved his curly hair. I was a huge fan of that. But yeah, he was a great player, and like you said, one of the best centers in the game for a little bit. So we will miss him coming into this spot next year, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. And then 13, I'll let you take this one away because he's your favorite player. So.
Yeah, this is my guy. And it makes it better that he was a 7th-round pick, number 224. Stevie Johnson, or Steve Johnson. As
he was drafted, right?
In '08. I really loved Stevie. He was very unique as far as personality and route running. And I think that's what made him the special player that he was. He had all the ability. Now, he did at the end of his career, he had some injuries pile up. I got to meet Stevie quite a few times, so I kind of know a little more of the backstory of how many injuries he did have and how much he pushed through some of these other years. But, he went through a lot in Buffalo, and he gave us some excitement. Now, he did some things that maybe I wasn't a fan of or I wouldn't think about doing, but he was an exciting player. And I thought one heck of a player and one of the best values, if we're talking value, for the pick at the time.
What I always liked about Stevie Johnson is he seemed to have Darrelle Revis's number. He always had Darrelle Revis's number. And this was not old Darrelle Revis. We're talking about Revis Island Darrelle Revis, like shut down corner Darrelle Revis. Whenever we played against the Jets, I was like, Stevie's got this, because Stevie just something about it.
He would
just go off, and that was probably his best game of the year every year against Darrelle Revis, and it was just like, wow, it was just amazing to watch. I remember I was at one of the games at the Meadowlands, or not the whatever it's called now, I don't know. MetLife, yeah. And he burned Darrelle for. And did the whole Jet thing and did a throat slash, got a 15-yard penalty. I was like, oh man, why can't you just score and go to the sideline? But
he was a fun guy. He's a fun-loving guy. I mean, he's been a great guy in the Buffalo community.
Yep.
You know, you run into him out, and he was buying people TVs and just seemed like a very genuine guy. Like I said, I got to meet him a couple of times and hang out, and he cool, down-to-earth dude. Like you wouldn't expect him to be an NFL player. He just hang out, talk, and treat you like a decent human being. It was great for me to have in Buffalo.
Well, like you said, why so serious, right?
Yeah.
I wish I could have another shirt right now. Why so serious? But yeah. So that's our list of best. I don't know if you have anyone else you want to add to the list, or I mean, there are a bunch of names.
Yeah, I mean, you can go through and just name a bunch of guys. Probably, like you said, our best draft classes were 95 and 01. 85, sorry,
right now.
And 01. I believe we drafted good up until 01.
Yeah.
And then we started to decline there. You know, we did have some guys like Eric Wood and stuff like that in there. CJ Spiller was awesome one year and didn't really do much, so he would kind of be as far as a bust because he hasn't really done anything if you go down the line as far as bust.
I feel like with him, and we've talked about this off camera, with him it's definitely more on coaching, I believe, than it was, like you said before, like he bust an 80-yard run, and then they just sit him for the rest of the series because he was out of energy. It's like, no, he just got us down there. Why don't you just use him?
Sometimes I get a little upset with that too because, like, if you look at the guy, he's a physical specimen. Like, he's just cut up.
Right.
You would not think he'd be out of shape, but I guess Shane Gailey thought he was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can go through our coaching list from 21 until now and talk about the busts in there, and it's a long list too. So.
That might have to be another episode. Or rank or Bills coach.
Exactly. There you go. But that's all we have for you today. Same thing with the busts. If you have guys that you really like that we drafted and feel like we got good value, we forgot to mention them, just give us a comment. We'll talk about it. Someone that's supposed to be on this list, or maybe someone that we mentioned who you're like, wasn't a fan of him as much, right? But if you are a fan of this content, like I said, we'll continue to keep you updated. The draft will be in a week, so we're very excited about the draft, right? So we'll get that. NFL schedule, regular season schedule should be coming out soon, so we'll get you that information. And continuing Bills information right here on Believers Talk. Subscribe to this channel, like or dislike this video, leave a comment, we'll happily talk to you. But till next time,
go Bills.
Go Bills.